Hello everyone, welcome to our last Start Strong training about developing social emotional connections with your students and families. Love seeing you guys come in. If you would mind, go ahead and tell us where you're from. Aimee from Aimee's Adventures is going to be joining us in just a bit. She will be with you guys in the comments. Yay, I'm so excited too. And then I will bring her into the live in just a minute. Hello from Japan. Oh my gosh, that's wild. Utah, that's where Aimee's from. Love it. California. Would love to know what ages you teach as well. From Oregon, Texas. Okay, awesome. Chicago, I've been wanting to go there. North Carolina, second grade. Hawaii, Illinois. Wow, this is amazing. Thank you all so much for coming. This will be so fun. From Spain, that's amazing. If you are not familiar with my page, my name's Melody Munch. My page is Mrs. Munch's Munchkins, where I share teaching ideas and resources. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and my friend Aimee from Aimee's Adventures, who you should definitely go follow if you don't already, is going to be here. She's from Utah, and she taught third grade. So we are both teacher pay teacher creators and just teacher resource curriculum creators that love the classroom and want to share some good stuff with you tonight. So kindergarten, all from Australia, Sweden. Oh my goodness, this is so cool. Australia has been on my bucket list since the 4th grade, so that is pretty awesome. Florida, wonderful. Hi Aimee, yay. Okay, I'll make sure to let you in just a minute. All right, well, we are so excited to have you. Also curious if you are back to school yet. I feel like most people are not, but I did see a few people already headed back for teacher trainings and things like that. Around where I live, we usually don't start till August 14th to 18th in that area. So curious if you guys have started yet. Okay, I don't see anybody that has yet. That's good. We wanted to do this in the summer where you have less on your plate, although maybe it would be fun to do some during the year as well. But okay, next week for some of you, oh my gosh, so soon. Okay, most of you haven't yet though, so August 1st, it's not very far, huh? Enjoying your last days of summer. Well, way to go to come to this as part of your end of summer. Okay, so in case you missed it, Aimee and I are going to be sharing about how to foster social emotional connections, not with just your students, but also with your families, because the families play a huge role, of course. They know their child the best. Against us, they spend just, almost as much time with their child because oftentimes their waking hours are more spent with us, but it's their most precious commodity. It's their child. It's the biggest deal in their life. So we really want to value the insight that those families have to offer us, and we want to make sure they know that we're partnering with them to try to make the year the best it can be for their child. So, yes. Okay, most of you headed back. Okay, a few of you in September. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to start by talking about a few things you could do when the school year is starting, and then we're also going to talk about some things you can do continuously throughout the entire year. So I wanted to begin with something I mentioned in my last Instagram Live, but I thought it was worth mentioning again. Having some kind of survey for the families to fill out whenever they start the year is a really great way just to start off and kick off the partnership between you and the family. So this is what I choose to use. It's called a Child 321, and it is in my store. And I also have it available in Spanish, and it's very simple. They list 3 things about their child that would describe them. They list 2 things I should know, any recent changes or things their child's passionate about or things just that they're concerned about, and then 1 wish that they have for their child during that school year. So it's super brief, very simple, but it really gives me a snapshot of what they see in their child and what they think their child needs to work on. And it's not intimidating for them to fill out. It's very, very quick. So I love that to start off our partnership because they can fill it out really quick, but it gives me a lot of really valuable insight. And yes, this will be on my Instagram page in case you want to view it in just a minute. But once it's done, it'll be there under the Reels tab. But I love using something like that. I know Aimee does something really fun where she has them write like a story about their child, like in 1,000,000 words or less, I think you call it, Aimee. So I'll let her touch on that in just a minute. But those are all great ways, just kicking off the year with something to say, hey, I see you have valuable insight and I want to be the best I can for your child. So tell me what I need to know, and just giving them an opportunity to share. I feel like a lot of families will really treasure that opportunity just to tell you whatever they think is most important for you to know. Yes, okay, glad I got that right, Aimee. Okay, then another thing that I wanted to talk about is using student handshakes. I don't know how many of you have already seen this on my page because I have shared about it before, but starting the year, this is something for the students. I love to develop a handshake with each student just to start having that relationship building and have that sense of trust, and that's something special that's just for us. And I love this idea because it's easy and it's free and it doesn't take very much time. We just come up with 2 to 3 movements that we want to do. It could be a couple fist bumps, an elbow bump, a wave, a clap, whatever 2 or 3 movements we want. And they take a little time with me, and I jot down whatever we decide as our handshake. And that's how I greet them every morning and every day when they leave. And the families love this, even though they're not there whenever they come to school and they usually don't see us doing our handshake. They hear about it, and I've always felt like that was just a really simple way to establish a connection with a student, and it's something the families love to see as well, that we have that individual bond with our students, not just a classroom bond, but just something little like that can build a bond between you and that student. I even have past students that come up to me on occasion and do our handshake. A lot of them I don't remember now that I'm not doing them every single day, but that's a really fun way. We also love to take a video of that and upload it to like a parent page where they could see it. So for me, that was always like a class Facebook page, but that could vary depending on what your school allows you to do or what they use for communication, but they loved seeing their individual little handshakes. So the next thing, and then I'm gonna bring Aimee on, I'm so excited to hear her ideas as well, is starting off every morning, a way to connect with your students. I know so many teachers have ways to do a check-in system. There are different check-ins you can do just to see how your students are doing emotionally. And we're gonna talk about how to involve parents in this as well. But with our students, I love to use a digital check-in. So if you have technology available in your classroom, you're gonna get a free sample of what I'm about to show you, so you could use it and test it out in your room. I'm showing you on my laptop. Sorry, that's not the best quality here since we're recording on my phone. But a check-in is just a simple way for the students to tell you how they're doing that morning, because oftentimes how they come in really affects the rest of their day. So if I can be aware of things going on with them and they have an opportunity just to tell me privately anything they want me to know, that's a really great way for us to just develop a touch point of checking in with them. So whenever they come in, we have 2 of these set up on like a back table, and it's a very simple Google form. They just put their name, and then we have a little area for what zone they are in. So teaching zones of regulation is another thing I would highly recommend for the start of the year. It's a great morning meeting topic. And when you teach that, then they know, okay, green zone means like I'm ready to learn. Blue zone is like I might be coming in kind of tired, or maybe I didn't sleep very well last night, or maybe I'm feeling sad about something, or something like that just has them down low. Yellow is like I'm silly, I'm feeling like a little overstimulated or just too full of energy, and I'm like needing a little assistance to reconnect back to the school day. And then red zone is like if they are really frustrated about something. So typically they're not coming in red zone, but it is possible. And after they pick what zone, they just have a little box that's optional where they can tell me anything they'd like me to know. And that has been very insightful, hearing about things that have happened over the weekend or outside of school, or even students that weren't super strong in their typing skills or forming words yet. They could just pick a zone, and then if I noticed, okay, that student's in blue zone, I would be checking that as they were coming in, and I could just pull them over for a quick moment and say, hey, I noticed you picked blue on your check-in. Is everything okay? What's going on? And sometimes they'd just say, yeah, I'm just feeling a little tired today. And I'd say, okay, thanks for letting me know. And then sometimes I'd find out something more major, like they found out a friend is moving away, or something happened to a pet, so many different things. So that just gives you a little clue starting the day and gives you a little connection point with each child of how are they doing and what can you do to help them. So those are just a few ideas. I think all of those are really good for just creating that safety and sense of belonging in your classroom and connecting with students in just really, really little ways, but they are also valuable. So Aimee's gonna share now about how we talk with our students. So I'm gonna go to requests and accept Aimee. I did that for Janet, who's asking. I did that for 2nd grade. So I think even 1st grade could do that as well. Aimee, oh, we're like this here. Hi, Aimee. Here's is loading. Or at least it's loading for me. Yes, we're going to talk about the handle with care in just a second. Somebody mentioned that idea. Okay, hers is still loading for me. Hopefully you all are seeing her beautiful pink. Okay, so working. Okay, I'll answer another question while we're waiting. So about handshake moves, yes, you could look online. There's so many different resources of like teachers who just have a list of different options for greetings when they come in the room. So I use those kinds of options like foot taps, fist bumps, elbow bump, the wave, we call this the sparkle, a hip bump, a turn. Really, I just show them an example of what some handshakes have looked like in the past, and then they get it. They come up with their own once they see a couple ideas. And if they're stuck, then I just rattle off options like we could do a fist bump, we could do a high five, we could do a crisscross. Like I just kind of keep telling them. Okay, Aimee's gonna try and leave and come back. That's good. But yeah, all of those kinds of things are great. Oh, I love that you love both of our pages. That's so cool. Okay, let's see. I don't know if I have to cancel it and come back in. And yes, I will post this whenever we are done. It will be under my Reels tab. Okay. Let's see if we can get Aimee back. It still just shows loading for me. But yes, we will post it at the end. And we have lots of freebies for you. If you haven't already, make sure you're on the list to get the freebies because those will only be sent out via email. So if you're not on the list yet, we're going to give you a while even after this live. And then we're going to send the email again tomorrow just so that people who see our stories that we made today have a full 24 hours to join the list. And then we'll send out this video with the replay. And we'll send out a whole folder of freebies. Aimee's being so generous, and she's included a great sample of one of her products, and then I'm including different things as well. The check-in I showed you earlier is one of them. You'll have one template from that. Okay, it worked for a second, Aimee says. Okay, let's try it again. Accept.
There we go. Technology is great until you want it to work.
I love that we're like hues of red, pink.
I realized that when I hopped on, I was like, oh, I wonder if I saw your story, and then I just subconsciously picked this shirt.
That's awesome. Well, Aimee, I kind of introduced you, but feel free to introduce yourself, and then you can start sharing. I'm just going to mute myself because I don't want like feed. I don't know. I've never really done a live before.
I haven't done one together, so this is super fun. I've loved everything that you've shared so far. I'm so excited to be here. Every time I see Melody stuff come up, I try to convince my husband to move to Oklahoma. So like Melody said, I am from Utah, and I was a 3rd grade teacher, and now I'm a curriculum creator too, and doing content creation full time. And I just love that this is our job now, and we get to share all these fun ideas and combine everything. And it's so fun to be here because I know we have a lot of the same people in our community, so it's really fun to talk with you guys. I'll just jump in. So I'm going to talk about problem focused versus solution focused language. And this is something that I learned from Wholehearted Counseling. My puppy is getting trained by my husband right now. He's teaching him some new tricks while I do this. So she posted this freebie that I saw on Pinterest And I loved it because kind of the backstory of why I realized this was so important is because I worked as a daycare teacher when I was 19. I was like a floater, so, and then I ended up being a full-time kindergarten teacher. But I worked with kids newborn to 5th grade, and one of my coworkers, we were just kind of chatting one day because I was telling her I was going to be an elementary teacher, and she was saying that her favorite teacher that she had for her daughter was one that used this kind of language. And I have a little diagram that I included in the Google Drive folder that we're going to be sharing with you guys. But she said all of her other teachers in the past, I think she was in 4th grade at this point, and she's like, they always say she's so bossy at parent-teacher conference, and it never really sat right with my coworker. And she said that she loved this teacher that she had because she said, oh, she's not bossy, she's just a leader. And I love it because it's not meant to like sugarcoat if there's a behavior, but it's a good way to take something that is usually seen as negative, like if you like telling people what to do or making sure everyone's on task, that doesn't necessarily mean you're bossy, you're just being a leader. So I think it's a really good way to channel the strengths that kiddos come with and help them turn that into a strength instead of a potential weakness. So I'll just give a few examples, and then you'll be getting this in the freebie as well, or in the Google Drive folder. So instead of defiant, you could say they hold strong beliefs, they're bold, or they're determined. Instead of dramatic, you could say they're expressive or passionate. Instead of hyperactive, you could say they're energetic or enthusiastic. Instead of impulsive, you could say spontaneous. Instead of talkative, you could say enjoys communicating, and the list goes on and on and on. So that's a great one, and I'll talk about a few other things, and then I'll jump back to Melody. So one thing that I just was thinking of as she was talking is my favorite app to use to communicate with students that I'm so glad I knew from the get-go, and I wish everybody knew about, is a free app called Class Tag, and you can download that on any device, and you can upload like Google Drive folders if you're trying to share something with a family. So like Melody has her 321 check-in, and I have my 1 million words or less. So you can share that folder with parents. So even if they didn't show up to open house, then they get that file anyways. Or if you have class pictures or things, you can upload them there. You can also do classroom wish lists. So instead of sharing like an Amazon wish list, they have a lot of those items on Class Tag, and then you just create your list. And I printed it out and gave that as a handout at back to school night. And it's really cool because you can also set up like parent-teacher conferences right on that app, volunteer opportunities, or you can have one-on-one conversations with your students' parents or families. And I'm in a few different teacher Facebook groups, and I was seeing that some new teachers were asking if they should share their phone number with parents. And I don't know, this is probably just your personal preference. I would not do that though, because there's just a lot of things that could happen that you don't mean to. So this way they don't actually get your phone number, but you can still communicate with them. It still like comes across as a notification on your phone, and I've only heard good things from parents about it. And if you are a dual immersion language or you teach in another language, then you can also change the language as well, which is really cool. So I just wanted to give that little plug. I'm not getting paid or anything to do that. I just think it's awesome. And I just Googled it while Melody was talking, and it says it will be free for teachers forever. So you can find it in the App Store. So I'll switch back and mute myself now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aimee. That's really cool. I love it when they say it'll be free forever, because I always feel bad if I share about something that's free and then it's not free anymore. So that sounds really, really cool. I love it. Okay, and I've seen in the comments some people are mentioning like Class Dojo and Seesaw. Those are all really good as well. I haven't used all of those extensively, so I don't know how they all compare, but I think kind of playing around with them, and also maybe asking your admin if there's one they prefer, or if there's one that's allowed, might be a good idea, because I know that can vary depending on what your school might prefer for you to use. So yes, and then yes, I wanted to echo Aimee's point. I am that type of person that would totally share my phone number, but once again, I've had admin tell me, like, let's not. And I understand why, because it's just more professional to email and to have that documented in like your district email of what the communication was between you and families is really nice for the district to have that and be able to back yourself up if there's anything questionable. So that's just a great pro tip as well. Okay, so if you missed it so far, we've talked about checking in with students. We've talked about using problem versus solution language. I think that's so important what Aimee shared, and I love the diagram she's talking about, because I'm not a parent, but I can imagine being in their shoes, and just nobody wants to hear hard things about their child, and sometimes we do have to have hard conversations, but being able to talk about their kids in a positive way and being honest about if they have a problem, but still communicating that in a way that affirms who their child is and sees the good things and the gifts that their child has to offer, just seeing it in the best light, I feel like makes that whole communication so much easier, and families are able to hear what we are really trying to say whenever we are layering those hard conversations in grace and making sure we're phrasing it in the best way possible. So I love that diagram, and I feel like that would be a great thing to print out and like kind of keep by your teacher things if you need to send an email or make a phone call. Those are just great ideas. Okay, so now I want to talk about an idea for connecting with families for the first week of school that's really twofold. So this might be controversial, but I really believe that every family should get a positive phone call home within the first week or two of school. And here is why. Even though I know I don't really love talking on the phone with people I don't know, it's very like, it can feel intimidating. You want that first communication to the family to be something positive about their child, if at all possible, so that when things do arise, when challenges or behaviors that you need to make a plan for come up, it's so much better if you have talked to that family first about something positive rather than your first call home being about an issue. Yes, okay, some of you agree. So this was actually really hard for me. I used to just do a positive email home because I was like just a little too nervous to do the phone call. But then one year I had an administrator who said it was required for all of us. And I was like, okay. And I was amazed at how it impacted my classroom community and how those families felt so connected to me and were such supporters of me from that moment forward. And I mean, I can't tell you, some of the moms cried, like they were just so happy to be hearing something positive about their child. And some of them said, I have never received a positive phone call before. Like that was their first experience with that. So to have this new teacher say, I'm excited to have your child in my room, and I've noticed that they are whatever, you could even use that problem solution language to make sure you're picking out great traits about them. That's meaningful. And it doesn't mean that you can't address, like you could say, we're needing to work on this a little bit, but it's the first days, we're giving everybody grace, we're getting to work on these things. But just getting that initial connection to be positive is really, really powerful. So what my team and I did last year is we just made like a checklist, and every day, I don't think we did the first day, I think we did the second day of school through like the first week. We just tried to make like 5 calls a day on our plan time or after school until we were through our list, so that it wasn't too overwhelming of like doing all of them in a day or something, but it was manageable enough that we could get through them. And we tried to start with students who we knew may not have got that kind of phone call yet. So we tried to establish those quicker, and students who might have been new to our building. Just that way, the family also has an opportunity when they're on the phone with you to ask any questions they may have been thinking about, they just haven't gotten around to emailing you about. So that's a really good opportunity. So I'm including in the freebie folder a script that you can modify just to help you with what you could say. It has a list of some positive things you could say about the students. It has just a basic like, hi, it's Miss Munch, so-and-so's teacher, how are you? And then it's very simple. So I'm just calling today because I wanted to let you know I'm so enjoying having so-and-so in my class. They are so, fill in the blank with a great thing about that child. And then usually you'll get a response like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. And you just say, you're so welcome. And is there any questions you have or any concerns you have at home? Give them a chance to ask you any questions or give you anything they've been wondering about. And then you respond and you end the phone call. So all of the phone calls can be done in about 5-10 minutes max. So hopefully more on the 5-minute side, but those are just really powerful. So I would encourage you, if you at all can, to make that a priority the first weeks of school, to really try and give every family a positive phone call, even if you leave a message. Sometimes I was like, yes, I get to leave a message because it's really quick. But my families would tell me that they would save those messages, and my students would even tell me if they came back the next day, they'd be like, you called my mom? And I would be like, yeah, I did. And they're like, my mom said that I'm doing great. I was like, yes, because you are. So yes, I just leave a voicemail if they don't answer. There were a couple times where like the voicemail didn't work or it said it was full. So I would send an email to those families and just say, hey, I tried giving you a call. It wasn't letting me leave you a voicemail. I just wanted to tell you. And I would just email them. So emails work good too, but I do think there's something a little elevated about a phone call. It can just be a little bit stronger. So if you can, I would do that. And then the next idea is something you can do continuously, and I've already seen somebody in the comments mention this idea, so I love it. It's not my original idea, and I don't know whose it is, so if you know, feel free to shout them out in the comments. It is the Handle with Care email. So let me know in the comments if you already use this. I started using this a couple years ago, and my families have loved it. So the premise is simple. Usually at back to school night, I introduce this idea. And I just say, hey, if your student's ever having a really hard day or a really hard morning, or your family's just going through something tough, send me an email with the subject line, Handle with Care. And that will just let me know that I need to be a little bit extra gracious, loving, attentive to your child that day. You don't have to give me any details. You don't have to explain what's going on. I won't ask any questions. This is just a quick way for you to say, hey, something's going on, and my child could use a little extra attention today, a little extra love. So that is a great way for your families just to have that open line of communication, be able to tell you something's going on without feeling like they have to get too into the details. And that can be really powerful for you as well. And sometimes they do open up and they say, we're going through this change, or a grandparent, their health is failing and we're really struggling with it as a family. It's just very simple. So I'm giving you a freebie slide that I use at our back to school night to introduce this concept. And then I'm also giving you a printable in case you would rather print it out and get it put in like a Meet the Teacher folder or something like that, or you can put it on their desk if you do a back to school night. And it just explains what I just said, that as their teacher, it's my goal to make sure they feel safe and comforted. I want to partner with you to help your child if they're going through a particularly tough time. Just send me an email with the subject line Handle with Care, and I will know that means to be extra sensitive to your child that day. So really, really simple. And yes, if you missed where to get the freebies, the link is in my stories right now. It's also in my bio. It says Start Strong Trainings. And when you're on that list, it will send you an automatic email to let you know that you're on the list. And then whenever I send out the freebies, you'll get them. So we'll wait and send them out like maybe 20 to 30 minutes after this is over so that everybody has time. So you don't feel like you have to do it like right this second. So, okay, now Aimee has a really sweet idea about how she checks in with families throughout the year. This is like something, you know, they can email us about, but I love what she does that I'll let her explain next.
I always forget to unmute myself. We got some great comments while you were talking, so I just want to touch on those first, and then I'll go back to that. So someone said that they teach kindergarten. It looks like Lexi, and they email a photo of the child on their first day of school with something positive. I thought that was a super cute idea, so I wanted to make sure we mentioned that one. And then Drew and Susan said that it also, when we do this, lets the kids know we are in communication with their folks, which we all know can sometimes come in handy. So I just wanted to point those two things out because I really liked those comments. So yes, I do an email once a week called Checking In, and it's super, super simple. So really quick, I want to touch on something before I forget, actually, and then I'll go back. I had a principal who always made us do like a sandwich method for emailing parents home, and where if you aren't familiar with that yet, it's you share something good, and then you share the problem, and then you share something good at the end. And I'm all about doing what works for you, but for me, I didn't love this one because it never felt super genuine. It felt like I was kind of giving compliments so I could talk about the problem. So I put like suggested products if you're interested in creating a more positive positive communication with parents. And I do glows and grows instead. So it's not like I'm telling you these things just so I can get to the problem. It's here's the things that they're doing well, and here are the things we can improve on. So it's like the whole child. So that's just something else that I wanted to say that I put in there as well with a discount code. And then back to the checking in email. So sometimes I would send that glows and grows, and the subject line was just checking in, and it would be like, hey, I noticed the student hasn't been at school for a while, just wanted to make sure that everything's okay, looking forward to seeing them again. And then sometimes you get more information. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, they just had a really bad cough and we're keeping them home for a few days. And then usually they actually show up again the next day because they were like, oh, they're missing me at school, I better go, which is always great. And then I also put like a little infographic that you could also print out. And it says times you should send a positive email home. And I have 5 things that I tried to do. So one was to recognize kindness, and parents loved hearing about how their kiddos were being kind to friends in class. So that could be like sharing something, or if someone was a really good friend, I always made sure that I wrote either an email or a little note home to acknowledge improvement. If you get those light bulbs, those light bulb moments, I always try to include the parents on that, because a lot of times the kids are working so hard at home too. So it's always super rewarding for the parents to also get that light bulb moment in an email. To celebrate achievement, if they did something great or like got an award, or even just a small celebration works too. To share the good, which could be like the solution-focused language. And again, those examples will be in the drive folder too. Or just because you could just say, hey, I love having this kid in my class, just wanted to let you know. And sometimes I would say, like, I wish that I had 29 of them in my class or something like that. And it can be super short and simple. I used to stress about emailing parents because I always felt like it needed to be this really long email where it's like, okay, here's something good, and then here's something that we need to work on, and then it doesn't need to be long. I just say checking in, then maybe share a sentence to a paragraph or the glows and grows thing, and that was the email. So I'm going to turn the time back over to Melody because she has some more great ideas to share with everybody.
I love that one, Aimee. I think that's so good. I mean, what parent would not love to see just a sweet email in their inbox, checking in or letting them know something positive is great. So I thought of another thing while you were talking, that little brag tags are really fun for that too. And I included a freebie a couple sessions ago, so I'll add that to this folder in case you missed the last time I shared it. And I just have little brag tags for different things, like Aimee was mentioning, like if they met a goal, or they met an academic standard, or they got a really good score on a test, things like that we would celebrate. And one of my favorite ones to use just said, my teacher's proud of me. And then I'd write the date, my name, and then just a quick reason I was proud of them. So it could be something as simple as they offered to share their glue stick when their partner's glue stick was empty. Like something so simple, but they would get to wear it like with a little safety pin on their shirt, and then they would go home and show it off to their family, and they just felt so proud. And I loved that because then the family was getting to see that little moment as well. So I'll include that in the freebies. Oh, I'm so glad you love the ideas. Oh, Aimee, they say your ring's beautiful. Thanks. Okay, so our last thing before we just see if you guys have any general Q&A that we can answer is talking about calming corners or calming strategies. So let me grab my bag of calm tools over here. So I love the idea of supporting kids by having different areas in your room that they can go when they might just need a break, or they might be having a hard day. So like those kiddos that you might get that handle with care email from, you might know that they might need a time to use the calm corner or just go over some calm strategies with them. So in my classroom, I like to have a couple areas for this, and we did talk about it pretty thoroughly the first weeks of school about how to use the calm corner. They all got a chance to go there, and we talked about how to use each of the different tools so that they all knew what was expected and that they could like get to try them out before they actually needed it. So whenever they would go to the calm corner in our classroom, they would have to give me the peace symbol. And in our class, that meant I would like calm break. Typically, I always said yes, unless it was like somebody that didn't seem to be having a problem and they were just trying to get out of the lesson. They knew that like during the lesson, we all try to stay because we need to know what we need to do. But during work time, you can take a break. They're still responsible for their work, so they might just have to make it up during must do, may do times, or they might get to work with me at the table if I can help catch them up. But typically, my class honored the system really well. And if they were getting really frustrated, they might show me the symbol. Or if they had an argument with a friend, they might show me the symbol. So I had 3 little spots around the room that were against the wall, secluded. So like there's one by my desk, there was one over by our nugget couch, and there was another one over by our library. So just depending on what was happening in the day, they would go select whichever one was open and was a best fit. At each station, I had really, really simple items. You can find a lot of these at Five Below and on Amazon. Even Walmart has a lot of them now. So I love having some kind of calming timer or gel tool for them to look at. My past school, all of the specialist teachers got together and made these really sweet glitter calm bottles, and I just used water bottles. They put water and then like different colored glitter inside them and then taped them with duct tape so they wouldn't like be able to be undone really easily, and the kids could just shake them up and set them down. That was a really great visual calming thing for them, and that was free, so that was a really good thing for the kids to look at. And then there were other calm tools. Amy's going to share some of hers with you. She was so generous to put some of hers in the freebie folder we're going to send you, so I'll let her share hers in just a minute. But some kind of visual card to remind them of different breathing strategies is another great thing that I would have at the corners. So things like this just to help them remember different breathing techniques. We'd have a couple of fidget toys, so they loved just being able to move their hands with something just to kind of get them back to, we'd always say the goal of the calm corners is to get back to green zones. That's another thing that comes from teaching the zones of regulation. And then they would play with that fidget for a while. We would have a 2-minute timer. I found these at the dollar store at Dollar Tree, and they would set the 2-minute timer up for themselves. And if they needed more time, they could have it. But if it had been a while and I noticed, okay, we need to come back, then I might come over and say, hey, let's do 2 more minutes, and then we need to come back. So that was usually, again, not a problem. I didn't have that overuse as much of a problem, but we did talk about it quite a bit the first weeks of school and really establishing when is a good time to use this, how should we be using it, and that the goal is to rejoin the class, not just to be on our own because then we miss out on things. We also, my kids love these marble fidgets. They come in really big packs, and I'll link the different ones that I use. I have a whole like Amazon folder of calm things. I got a lot of them from like Donors Choose projects, so that's a really great way if you're wanting to get some more items. But I think like a pack of 20 of these was like $7 or something. So if you're just getting started, getting some really inexpensive items that could go a long way are a great way to start. And what else? Oh, I was also going to mention some calm books. So when I'm introducing the calm corner, we read a few books, and then I put at least one book at each station so they can refer back to them. So I grabbed a few. I love B is for Breathe. It goes through the alphabet and talks about different calm strategies for each letter of the alphabet. Really cute. We do talk about how like we can't do all of these at school. We could do like art. A is for art, B is for breathe. E is for eat a healthy snack, G is for glitter jar, H is for hug. So a lot of these we could do imagine your favorite place, kick a ball or play a sport is K. So, you know, like we probably are gonna like let them go outside and do that unless they have like you're at a great situation where they have like someone who can take them on a break. But we can't necessarily all do these right in the moment. They're just reminding them of ideas. And it's for nature walk. So again, they're not gonna get to just like leave the room and go take a nature walk, but those are just giving them more ideas, like things they can do to reset. Find Your Calm is another really good one. All of these are going to be linked in the folder that I send you. And My Magic Breath is another really good one. There are tons more. Those are just a few I happen to have on hand. So I'm going to let Aimee share about her really awesome cards that she's giving you as a sample freebie. I think it's a sample, right, Aimee? Okay, I was like, I don't know if it's the whole thing or not, so I'll let her talk about that.
Okay, yes, I love it. I heard you mention Donor Shoes, and I love Donor Shoes, so I was an ambassador for them for a little while, actually, so if it's your first time hearing about it, I do have some videos on my YouTube channel, so if you're like, I would love to have these things, but there's no way I could afford it, because that's the position I was in all through teaching, then I would definitely check out those videos so you can get started. I had every project funded, so I've got a lot of great tips for you. So with the freebie that you'll get in the folder, I have different calm down strategies, so I'll just go over a few of them and kind of teach you how to use them, and then you'll get the posters. I didn't have this space in my room to have like a designated corner, so I just had a binder, and either the student would go pull it out, or if they needed a minute, I would just say, hey, how about you take this binder, you can find things that you like and you can try them out. And I would try to teach these things in a whole group setting too, so then the students know how to use them when they do get that binder. So this first one's called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. And I actually use this in my everyday life because I have really bad anxiety, and this kind of brings me back to the present. So you do 5 things that you can see. So like right now I would say, I see my water bottle, I see Melody, I see my computer, I see a cup, and I see dog hair because we just got a puppy. And it can be silly things like that. It doesn't need to be anything specific. And then 4 things you can hear. So it's kind of quiet in my apartment right now, and some things you might not be able to get the whole number. So like right now, I hear birds chirping, I hear the air conditioner, and I hear myself talking. That's kind of it. So it doesn't have to be 4, but we can try to do that. 3 things you can touch, and you can also interchange them. Like if I have an easier time doing 4 things I can touch, because like I can touch my pants and my desk and my water bottle and my head or whatever, there's 4 things. So you can switch them out. 2 things you can smell, which sometimes can be hard too, so you can skip the last 2, which are smell and taste, because I taught this in an Instagram reel one time, and I had someone comment and say that they taught this to their son, and he couldn't find anything he could taste, so he licked the floor. So it's also good to have like mints or candy on hand, that if they want to do that one, then they have something that they can taste. The next one is called roller coaster breathing, or I've got like a breathing pattern, but it has instructions on there. So I taught this one in my live that I did last week, but I was super sick, so I'm planning on filming that one again. But you just take a deep breath when you go up and let it out when you go down. So you're just going, and that helps them calm down. You'd obviously do it slower than that so they don't hyperventilate. And then it just has some other posters, like a feelings poster that helps them identify how they're feeling. There's some little pieces that you can cut out, and you have them up at the top, and you move each piece down to the bottom as you calm down. So yeah, those are some different things in there. And I also have a bundle linked so that you can get the full set of posters, because I have, I think, 50 in a product. And then I also have some calm down cards that I put on a 3-ring or a little key ring, and then they could flip through them, and they're just quick things like that that work really well. Like instead of doing the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing, they could look for different colors in the rainbow. I do that one with my 3-year-old nephew sometimes when he needs to kind of calm down. So there's lots of good things in that bundle, and that will be included in, if you get the bundle, it will be discounted. So yeah, I think that was everything with the breathing strategies in the calm down corner. So we'll jump back, and Melody can tell you how to get everything now.
Amy. Amy was so generous. Thank you for participating in this as well. And then she really loaded you up with some great freebies. If you missed it, again, the link is in my stories. You just have to be on the list so we can send you that Google folder. And you have a full 24 hours to join because I'm going to be sending the replay out twice. I'll send it tonight with the link to the folder, and then I'll send it again tomorrow afternoon so that anybody who hopped on late but saw that story and wants to participate gets the links as well. So it's also in my bio where it says Start Strong Training. If you're signed up under that list, you will get all of this. So it will all be sent directly to your inbox. I saw a couple questions come in as we were talking just now. So I'm going to link to Amy. I'm going to find that YouTube video of yours and I'll link that in like a slide set. I'll have the link to the Calm Corner, like physical items you can order, and then I'll have a slide that says donors choose so you guys can find that link really easy to watch Amy's video because I saw a couple questions about that and I have had the same success that Amy's had. I haven't had a project that wasn't fully funded, which I'm so grateful for. And a really cool thing is that I didn't really ask anybody about it. It was like businesses that found my project. One of them was like about to expire. It was like the day before it expired. It was like New Year's Eve or something, and a business came in and covered the rest of it. So it might take a couple tries as well. If you like do one and it doesn't work out, trying another one and using Amy's tips would be something I would recommend. I saw a couple Calm Corner questions that I'll cover real quick. Somebody was asking about what if this child is overusing the Calm Corner? So if I had a child that I really thought was not needing the Calm Corner, was overusing it, we'd probably have a quick chat to the side and I'd say, hey, I noticed that you're asking to use the Calm Corner a lot. I know it can be really nice to have those breaks, but we really are only going to use it when we really need it. So we need to really be thinking about when we need it most. So when's like a time of the day we think we need it the most. And we would just work on that plan. That's why in my class they do have to show me the symbol if they're wanting to go to a Calm Corner. So that usually I say yes, but sometimes I'll say, ask me again in a little bit. We're about to start a lesson, or we're doing something really important I don't want you to miss, or we're taking a test, so whatever it is, I have my students ask so that I have that ability to say, no, I don't think we're needing that right now. I think we're going to try it. Let's try to stick it in a little longer, and then if you still need it, we can take that break. So, or maybe just enforcing the timer with that student would be something helpful. I saw somebody ask about if they have a seat at the Calm Corner. In my class, they did not. I just had a little basket of all the tools in the little areas, and there was usually like a rug that they could sit on, or our floor had carpet, so they just sat on the floor, and that didn't seem to be a problem at all. So I don't think you need to have like a real fancy system by any means. I will also mention, I just saw this idea on TikTok recently. They had this sensory wall that was like a glitter piece of fabric, and the students could move the glitter back and forth, and I was mesmerized. I was like, I would totally have that if I was in the classroom this year. It looked so awesome. So you can look for that. And then the last question I saw before I'll look back in the comments was about if I still let students use that when there is a sub. In my classroom, I did leave a subfolder that had one page about like student information, and on there I would detail any students who might be ones that use the Calm Corner a lot. I would just say, hey, if they ask to use the Calm Corner, this is something that helps them. You can allow them to take that break as long as they're still like getting their work done. So I would still use it, but I know that every place is different with subs, and so that might vary depending on what your policies are. Oh, somebody says they have a dish mat. That's perfect. Like a dish mat they could use for that, or are you talking about sitting on? I'm not sure. Okay, yes, and if you missed the beginning, you can absolutely rewatch. Okay, so I think that's all we had. So again, the different freebies that we're going to share with you, we have the daily check-in sample, the problem versus solution graphic about things, positive things you can say about students, the phone call for the first weeks of school script, the Handle with Care slide and handout, Amy's Calm Corner sample of those different strategies, and then we'll have the Calm Corner links and the Donors Choose video linked for you. So much good stuff. Okay, I'm gonna go back and just make sure we didn't miss any questions. Yes, you don't have to make them too fancy. Anything simple that just gives them a way. I just had so many tools. They didn't need all those options at one corner. So that's why I made a couple centers. But okay, you guys are so welcome. Aimee, did you have anything else that you saw?
I don't think so, but if anyone has any questions, I'm sure we're both open to DMs or anything like that. Or if you get in the drive folder later, you can always reach out. I did add like a few videos in there just because I didn't, like if I was looking at it, I wouldn't know how to implement it. So I threw some videos in there too. But I'm so grateful we got to do this together. It's been so fun to hang out. We definitely need to do this more often.
Definitely. Thank you, everyone. And I saw someone ask if the books that I mentioned will be linked. And yes, all in the same Amazon folder. So thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye.